Welcome to Mower Mike's Garage. Now, I hate to disappoint my redneck fan base, but today we're not talking about trimmers, chainsaws, lawnmowers, stupid redneck tricks, snow blowers. No, we're talking about cold plunges. I'm going to show you how to build the best cold plunge on the internet. Yeah, no, just stay with me. I'm going to prove it to you. I've been a cold plunger for a long time now, and I'm not going to go into the benefits. You can look at other places for that, but I will tell you it just makes me a happier person. Now, I've been studying how I want to do this for over a year, and I have figured out there's about 4 profiles of people that build cold plunges. First, you get the guy like my buddy Bob. He's got a trash can. He's going to go buy a bunch of ice and just dump into it and just freeze one time. No, I'm not going to be buying ice. We're not doing that. The next is Squeaky Pants. You know, your super tightwad buddy at Jiu-Jitsu who thinks he wants to build a cold plunge. So he's going to go to the Tractor Supply and buy the $100 Rubbermaid horse trough and then go buy some cheap-ass $400 aquarium chiller on the Amazon and think that's going to work. Just stop. Just stop. Don't do that until you watch what I've got to say about chillers. And then you've got fancy pants. Like what I was going to do till my wife said no, where you listen to Joe Rogan, Jocko, and you're like, oh, I'm going to order me the super duper cold plunge for $10,000-$20,000, or even the cheapest one, pre-built one you can buy, which is the Plunge brand. You're still in at $6,000 or $7,000. And to do one for a gent of my height, you've got to get the extended one, which they added to like $2,000. No, forget that. What I wanted was something with the best possible components within that $2,000 to $3,000 range. So all out, I'm just under $3,000 in my build. So we're about $2,700. So let's talk components. First, what are we going to plunge into? Now, I don't want to plunge into an electrified box. I know there's a lot of people that really believe in the chest freezer theory, where I'm going to buy off Facebook Marketplace a $50 chest freezer from the 1970s. I'm going to throw a bunch of caulk in the corners and I'm going to plug it in the wall. I'm going to slide into an electrified box and possibly kill myself. No, we do not want to do that. Trust me. Let me just tell you that right now. What we are going to do, we're doing something novel. We're actually going to build a cold plunge out of a bathtub. Yeah, nobody else is doing this. I don't know why. But, you know, bathtubs are meant to hold people and water and actually have a drain. Yeah, it's wild. And you can make a cold plunge out of it, I have found out. So what I'm starting with is a 67-inch Huntington bathtub, standalone. And this thing is a beaut. It's 67 inches, which means I can slide my tall ass in here and be super comfortable because I'm already gonna be miserable enough getting this 37-degree water pumped all over my body. So it's big enough, it's got a drain. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna build a drain that's gonna go to a water hose. So this thing can be mobile and move anywhere. It's something else I have come to find out, it's double walled, which means it's already gonna have a little bit of insulation because of the air gap, but I'm gonna do a different video on how we're actually gonna fill that air gap with foam and actually insulate this thing like the pros do. So $600 off Amazon, they brought it to my door. Yeah, Amazon delivers bathtubs. It's pretty wild, and it's actually cheaper than I can get at Lowe's. So I'm gonna put a link down below to the bathtub. Next, let's move on to the chiller. Now, yes, I researched chillers for hours and hours and hours. And yes, I have seen them all. You've got your chillers on the Amazon, which I know all of you looked at for the Aqua Active chiller and all that crap. One thing I want you to notice. First of all, most of those chillers on Amazon for $500-$600 are only a 1/10 horsepower or 1/4 horsepower. They don't have the balls needed to really get that water temperature down. Second of all, they don't have pumps. So you're gonna have to redneck rig up like some sort of battery to an electrified pump and then pump. It's just, no. That's why I went with Penguin chillers. I was shocked to find an actual chiller made in the United States. These things are made in Tennessee. They're 3/4 horsepower. They have quick disconnects. It has an internal pump that pumps the water a lot. Trust me, we're gonna see at the end. And also, it has an extra kit for like $150. It's a cold plunge kit. This thing is built for cold plunging, so it's super safe. Quick disconnects. The kit comes with all the filters, all that good stuff. And they're made in Tennessee, and they answer the phone. I've talked to them several times, and they just sound like a bunch of good old boys and some cool chicks who probably won't mind my weird political affiliations towards Kid Rock, because I think Kid Rock Trump 2024 ticket is going to be awesome. So hopefully I don't get banned because of that. Anyways, so we got the penguin chiller, we got the tub, we got all the connections. So next, we're going to start building. Let's do it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install the drain. The tub itself comes with a drain kit. So first thing, grab your drain with one gasket. It's going to have two gaskets and a nut. Take the nut off and then just slide it in there. It's a little pop drain. So now we got the drain slid in. I'm going to flip this sucker upside down. We're going to look underneath her skirt, see how she's built, and install this drain. So stay with me. All right, so we are underneath the bathtub. And before we talk about the drain, I want to go ahead and just show you the overall structure of this tub. As you can see, we've got double walled, and then it's held up by these feet. So before you do anything, these 6 feet, make sure they're level. So what you can do, you can flip this tub upside down on a level surface, use a level, make sure they're all extended out so you've got equal weight. But also, this is what really surprised me. Look at this gap. So this is the bottom of the tub, and this is the bottom that's actually hitting the floor. So you've got probably a 6-inch gap, which is perfect for what you need here, because we're going to do a drain that's going to come from here and not go into the ground, but actually go out through the side of the tub, allow us to drain it mobile. So, all right, the next step is very important because I have screwed it up a lot and you don't want to leak. There's a very specific routine we got to do here. So you got your thing pushed through here, your drain, and there's a silicone gasket on the other side that does not need any glue or silicone. But on the underside, you're going to see this drain here. Make sure to put a pretty good bead of silicone around it, because if you don't, it will leak. Don't tell me how I know, but this is the second drain I have bought from Huntington. So you go ahead and install that like so and just push it on there. Come on. And push it on there as far as you can. And then next, you're going to install your lock nut. Now the lock nut itself, I've got here, and it's got two sides. You got a flat side and the side with the nut. Make sure to put the flat side up. And you're gonna go ahead and just tighten it up. Now, to do it, you can hold either right there and tighten it, or you can have somebody hold the other side. But when you get close, you're gonna need to tighten it, and it's gonna be very hard to hold. That's a huge lock nut. What you need is one of these. This allows you to get up on there. This is a lock nut wrench thing for bathtubs. I'll put a link below, but this saved my butt. But before this, I was struggling. So go ahead and tighten that up as much as you can using your wrench. And then next, we're gonna go to the Mower Mike table and talk about how we're gonna build a drain to a garden hose. Stay with me. All right, I know you're cursing me because that thing keeps spinning. So I'm just gonna show you a quick pro tip. They do make a special little locker that goes in there, but if you just grab a really fat screwdriver, put it in there and hold it tight, and then that's gonna allow you to hold that as you tighten down this nut and keep it still. So just make it as tight as possible, and remember to put the silicone there. And then also you may want to put a little thread sealant on there just as double protection. I'm not doing that right now, but that's always a good thing to do. So, all right, so we're gonna get the sucker on there tight and move to the next step. All right, kids, the key to this cold plunge build is that we want to be able to drain it anywhere, because I want my cold plunge to be mobile. I want to be able to throw it in the back of my truck, take it over to Marine Mike's. We can do a sauna sesh, a little cold plunge sesh. That's a whole different topic. So what we've got, the first step for our drain is the actual drain. Now this comes with the tub, little pop drain, and it goes into this. What we got here, this is an 1.5 inch NPT fitting. Now, quick lesson, kids, on NPT fittings. I screwed this up a lot. You're gonna measure the end, they're like, oh, that's 1.75 inches. But with plumbing fittings, you subtract 1/4 inch. So it's not 1.75 inches, it's 1.5 inch NPT. So we got a male NPT, we need to go to a female. Now my first thought was this guy here, big old L drain. Two issues with this. First of all, it hangs down a little bit low for what I'm doing, and I found out this is an NSF, not an NPT. NSF is meant for gas lines and whatnot, and it does not work. So when you get your fitting, do NPT. But after ordering all sorts of stuff on Amazon, I found this guy here. What this is a low profile P-trap, and it's used for underneath bathtubs or showers, I don't know, all sorts of stuff. But what it's allowed us to do is, look at this. It's got a little rubber gasket here. We're gonna screw that right into there. And what we got now, we've got a very low profile. So this is gonna come out the bottom of the tub, and it's gonna clear enough room between the floor and the tub and allow the water to go out that way. So that's our first step. And I'll put links to all my fittings I've used down below. Now, we want it to go here to a garden hose. So what have I got here? I found this. This is like $5. This is a little, like, I think it's a washer setup, but this goes to what we call here, this is a 3/4 GHT fitting, which is a water hose fitting, and it goes to a female 3/4 GHT. So we've got this and this. So we've got the missing link going on. So what we need, we've got 1.5 inch NPT. So I found this here coupler on the Amazon. This is 1.5 inch NPT, female to female. So we can screw that in there. But then, as you can see, we're gonna have 1.5 inch NPT, and we gotta get to this. That is where this bad boy came in. I found this on Amazon. I think it's built for pumps, but what this allows us to do is to screw in here, like what I've got here, 1.5 inch NPT, female to 1.5 inch male NPT, and the beautiful thing about this, that's a water hose fitting. So it goes from NPT to the GHS. I'm sure I'm getting these wrong, but that's a 3/4 water hose fitting. And look at this, boom. So what we have effectively built, we have built ourselves a drain that converts into a water hose fitting. And so this is gonna slide underneath the bathtub. We're gonna install this guy. As you see, we've already installed. I'm just gonna screw that on, and then this is gonna come out a hole in the sides of the bathtub, and now we have got an actual drain that you can hook up to a water hose. Yes, I know, I am slowly becoming an expert plumber. It's taken me months to figure this out, but I think this works perfect. So what we're gonna do next, we're gonna slide underneath that bathtub. I'm gonna hook her up. I'm gonna show you how this drain is going to look. And when you do this, remember, now right here, you've got a little rubber gasket in here. So you really don't need the rectile grease or whatever right here, but all these connections here, anywhere you don't have a rubber fitting, I highly suggest using this pipe thread sealant, rector seal. So it really seals up the rector, and just put it on liberally. Put it on the female and the male threads, since this is such a big gap, and put it here. And gang, this will give you a watertight seal, and you don't need it anywhere where you've already got a rubber gasket. So, all right, let's keep rolling, and we'll be freezing before you know it. Let's install our new and improved Simplified Drain. Now, before you do it, make sure you get your gasket in there. It's got a rubber gasket. And just screw it on this guy here. All right. And the next, what you're gonna do, you take your little short hose and slide it through the hole. Now, I did need to widen this hole, and please, before you drill a hole in here, make sure it's big enough for whatever you're gonna shove in the hole, because it is not easy getting through here. But you can see here, this is just a much easier setup. If we can come down here, let me see. I think we're gonna go like this. Come on. That screws there, and then you have your outlet there. And hot dang, look at that. We got ourselves a drain, and I just pray that, that she's gonna not leak. So we're gonna do a real quick leak test, and then we're gonna move on to making, putting some cold water in this thing. Stay with me. All right, folks, I got water pumping in the tub. Let's see if we got any leaks. Well, none yet, it looks like. That's looking good. Let's go ahead and pop this. I'm so freaking nervous. Let's see if she's holding up. This is awesome news. Look at that. No leaks at all. And what we can do now that I got my drain set up, check this out. Well, the goop worked. So if you just want an outside bathtub, you know, to wash the dogs in with a drain, you can stop right now. But next, what we're gonna do, we are going to rig up the cool jets to freaking freeze your nuts off in said bathtub. So stay with me. All right, we are finally done with that drain, and it's gonna work great. So now let's have some fun. Let's talk about how we're actually gonna get this cold, frigid water into our bathtub. Now, I bought the whole kit with a penguin chiller, and what that kit comes with is a whole lot of this black hose. Said hose hooks up to the penguin chiller, and then it funnels into the tub. And the way it gets into the tub is what we're going to talk about here. These are the jets. So what this is what they call a bulkhead fitting. This is the one that came with a kit. Essentially, you take this off, you get a rubber gasket, and this slides in from the inside. So this is what's blowing out the water, and then from the back side, you go ahead here and you cinch on whatever you're screwing this thing into, and then this squeezes it real tight, and you should have a watertight seal in theory, because that's going to be that, and then you screw this onto the end, and then you hook up your hose. Now, one thing you'll notice is that this doesn't leave you a whole lot of room. This is really meant for a thin-walled tub. Let's say a metal tub or one of those Rubbermaid tubs. It is sure not meant for this double-walled thick sucker I got, because I got a tub that's probably walls that thick. So this is really not going to work for me. So I went on the Amazon and I looked for bulkhead fittings, and I got the Big Daddy. Look at this sucker. Now that's a bulkhead fitting there. Now you'll notice this one has a lot more girth. This is an 1.25 MPT. So it's already a little longer. Well, actually it's not a little longer, but I'm going to show you what makes this one super cool. Look at that. The inside is threaded. So what this does, this is going to give me some options to extend this out longer. So the threaded on the inside is a 3/4 MPT. So I got a male to male 3/4 MPT, and I'll have links to everything I've bought because in the video description. So we got that. So we got a little more length, but look at that. I went ahead and got another guy here. Then we're going to screw that on there. Now, I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but I thought this looked pretty cool. And then we're going to screw this on here. And look at that. I mean, we probably got a good 5 inches of length. Now, so this looks serious. All right, so this is going to be our new setup. In theory, this is what we're going to do. So my next step is we're going to unhook all this. The next step in this is to try to get this into the bathtub. All right, so in order to do that, we need a hole saw. Now this here is 1.5 inches. So I got an 1.5 inch hole saw. We're gonna drill a hole. Now a good idea is to test it with a piece of wood, because you want this to be tight. And I drilled an 1.5 inch hole saw in there, and it slid right on in there like butter. So next we're gonna go ahead and drill a hole inside of the bathtub. So I hope I don't screw this up, because that is a $600 bathtub, and I don't know what's gonna happen. But let's go ahead and light up the old DeWalt and let's get to drilling, baby. All right, folks, we're about to have the moment of truth, because I'm going to drill some gigantic holes through the side of my fancy standalone bathtub. Now, I learned some lessons on the last time. I almost killed myself breathing in acrylic or whatever this is. So get yourself a really cheap, flimsy COVID mask, because apparently they prevent everything, right? And then eye protection. We're going to have some bad stuff flying around. So what we need to do, we need to drill a supply line and a drain line in the side of this tub. These are like bathtub jets. So the one shooting in, I'm going to put it right about here. You want it below the water line for the supply line. So this is going to be the cold water shooting in. And then I'm going to place my return line over here somewhere, because you want your return line lower. That way it's easier to suck it back into the machine. Now, the instructions showed them right on top of each other. I'm going to go with something different, because I want them separated. That way we get more cold air, like a frigid river flowing through. So, all right, what we're going to do, the first hole on the inside is going to be a little smaller. It's going to be 1.5 inches. Again, these are aftermarket, much more girth on these than the stock ones. So cruise around here, camera lady, and we're just going to rip an 1.5 inch hole through here. I think I want mine right there, I guess. Yep. Why not? All right. We're gonna crank her up. Boy, she's really ready to eat. Wow. Okay. The inside of the tub is actually very thin. I did not expect that. Now, what we're going to do also, we need to mark the center of it. So I'm gonna go through and drill a little extra. And so what we've got now, we've got a hole through here. And what that hole is going to allow us to do is to give us a guide for the big one coming through the back. Now, so that's gonna slide just like that. And from the other side, we're gonna use this bigger one. And I've got this idea that we're gonna drill a hole big enough for this. What this is a disposal sink aerator part, and it just looked really cool. And that way I can have this slide in from the outside. So trust me, this may work. All right, so we're gonna come around the other side and we're drill the other hole. All right, you guys are probably thinking, what in the world is this guy doing? He does not know what he's doing. And you're absolutely right. This is a first time we're learning together. We may have a total fail here, but as you can see, I've got a guide hold right here. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna stick our drill bit through there, and that way we're gonna be centered from the inside. Now, be sure just to cut the outside. Once you feel her push through, stop, because we don't want a bigger hole in the middle here. This is gonna be a big sucker. Uh-oh. Well. All right, we're still cutting. All right, see right there? That really can't be good for your lungs. Whatever that is. We got a little extra here. Boom! Look at that. All right. Wow. Yeah, you might need something better than these COVID masks. I don't think they ever work. So look at that. We got that there. Then what we're going to do, make sure to get your pipe thread sealant here. The rectal stuff we used last time. And put a little bit of that on the inside of these threads, like so. Boom, boom. I'm gonna put a little extra. You want to make sure to get the threads. The actual mating surface is fine because that's going to have this seal on it. And then make sure to get your plastic gasket. Slide it on here like so. Then your locking nut, like so. And these go left hand for some reason. Gang, this might work like money. All right. All right, and for your flare, look at that, it actually works. Honey, does that not look slick? All right, I'm not sure how we're gonna make it stay. I guess we'll cock her in there. But then what we're gonna do, we're gonna get this, and then we're going to, as we talked about earlier, I got my 3-part system here, and make sure to put lots of thread sealant on each part. Then we're gonna screw it all together. So I'm not gonna waste your time with me screwing, because that's not gonna be that exciting. But all right, so let's take a break. I'm gonna reorganize. We're gonna put this thing together and see how it looks like. So stay with me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with my original plan with a big fatty like this. But as you remember, I had this on there and an extender. The extender is not needed. So just the one internal one right here is all you need. You can see over here, I've gone ahead and done it, and it works perfect. You can see you got a good clearance, about 1 inch, just with that one insert in the middle, and that's gonna work good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up, and then we're gonna work on our flare. You can see right here. But you see, I got a little lip right there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut it right here along that lip, right where that indentation is, and see if it slides in there a little better. So stay with me. All right, gang, you see, we got our hole drilled with our setup for that jet, and I went ahead and did the second one. But on the second one, I wanted to test it out and see if the stock jet that came from Penguin Chillers, if that's gonna work with the thickness of this tub. So that's the aftermarket one I installed. And this black one here, that's your stock jet from Penguin Chillers. It's much smaller. So I went ahead and installed it. You can see right there, and I installed the angle fitting. And wow, look at that. It actually clears the side of the tub. That was my worry and why I extended this whole situation. It'll clear it, but just barely. So I'll leave that up to you. If you want to use a stock one, it's probably gonna work. It just might be a little tight. All right, so we got our jets all hooked up fancy. They're looking sharp, but you can see it's pretty rough around the edges. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna install these disposal drains. Now these are about $7 on Amazon. I keep talking about them. And they're gonna serve two purposes. First of all, they're gonna have a function, because when you slide them in here, that's gonna seal off this gap from the rest of the tub. And when I go through, I'm gonna do a separate video on insulating this tub, where I'm gonna put spray foam up in here, and it's gonna prevent that foam from coming around here and keeping this real clean. And second of all, it's just gonna look cool. I mean, you could say, hey, I got a disposal part on my fancy tub. I don't think there's anything else like that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get a little caulk. We got some clear caulk here, little tube, do a little shot on here. And like I said before, I went ahead and trimmed it along that little edge right here. I just used a angle grinder and just cut it, and that is the perfect length to slide in there and be flush against this back wall. So go ahead and make sure you got your insinkerator lined up, and then just press it on. And I think that is just too slick. So there you go. We got our chromed out freaking jets lined up, baby. All right, so next we're gonna go up top, and I'm gonna lay out all the different piping and the unit to show you how we're gonna actually hook up the water to this now that we got the tub all ready to go. Well, folks, it's a miracle. My amateur plumbing actually held up. As you can see, we've got no leaks underneath here. So that orange rectal cream I used on the threads is just watertight. So I definitely will go with that over regular pipe thread tape stuff. All right, so what we got a full tub of water. What are we gonna do? Well, we might use our fancy new drain. I've got it hooked up to a water hose going outside. Come here, camera lady. And look at that, pop, and she drains. Now I filled it with well water, so we got a little dirt in there, but perfect drain. All right, so the next steps, what we gotta do, we start doing the fun stuff. We're gonna start playing with the hosing. And the first thing I want you to do is set up your Penguin chiller where you think you're gonna have it, where your setup is. Like mine's gonna be right here, right next to the tub, and then measure the distance of the hose so we can get the hoses cut, and then we're gonna go mess with the filters and all that. So you're gonna have a supply line, which your supply line should be the higher jet, and that's gonna hook up to your outlet. So go ahead and measure this, whatever length that is, and cut that hose, and then your return line is gonna go to the bottom outlet. So get your hoses cut up. And when you cut a hose, I highly suggest, especially with hose like this, well, Murphy, get out of the way there. Use a hose cutter. That's what these are for. And you go through here and you just cut it like so, snip. Don't use regular scissors and all that. And I'll go ahead and put an Amazon link to these below. So I'm getting excited. We are getting really close to freezing. So next, I'm gonna go ahead and take my pre-cut hose. We're gonna throw them up on my table, and we're gonna talk about the filters. All right, everybody, now go ahead and put your plumber hats on, put your overalls on, because we're gonna start doing some plumbing. We are going to plumb said Penguin chiller to our filters and to the actual lines that are gonna feed and supply our super cold bathtub. All right, so I know it looks kind of complicated, but it's really quite simple. I went ahead and ordered the whole cold plunge kit. I think it's an extra $100. Comes with all the tubings, the connectors, all the filters you need to freeze your nuts off. So we're gonna go ahead and walk through it. Now, first of all, I wanna talk about how we connect to the outlet inlet. So your outlet right here, this is what's going to be pumping the freezing cold water out. And when it goes out, it's gonna go through this filter here before it goes into your bathtub, so it's crystal clear. So your outlet's gonna pump, then it's gonna go through another tube, and it's gonna go through your upper jet. So the higher one right about the water line. So it's going to be pumping water in. And then you're going to have another one that we're going to talk about that's going to be the inlet. So your outlet is going to be hooked to your big blue filter, which came with the Penguin chiller. Now you can get all sorts of setups online, but I thought it was cool that it already comes pre-set up. Now, I have been doing some studying. I've got a couple issues with this filter, first of all. You know, it just seems kind of odd that it's on this platform thingy. I don't really care for the platform. And also, it's got elbows on it. And if I'm going to go like this, you're going to have to elbow. You're going to have this thing elevated, all sorts of weird stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and take the pants off this thing. That sounded a little weird. All right. So now we've got our naked filter situation. And also, I hate these elbows. These just don't make sense to me. I think this whole setup was meant for something that kind of clips on the side of the tub, which is not what we are doing. So we go ahead and got rid of those, and instead, I got us these fancy ones off Amazon. These are the same size. They're 3/4 to 3/4, but they're going to allow us to make a much cleaner connection to go straight into the chiller. Now, when you do this, it actually comes with some plumber's tape. Go ahead and make sure to put lots of plumber's tape on there. And I'm just hand tightening them now to show you kids how this is going to work. All right, so we've got that set up. Now to connect it to the actual chiller, they've got these really cool connectors. So all you do, you push it on and then you snap these two back and it's connected. So it's super slick, just like so. Boom, boom. Thank you, ma'am. So we're connected there. Now, the way I want to do it, I'm going to do it awfully short because I want this thing just to go right here. That way it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. Now you've got all your clamps and everything right here. So all you have to do is slide them on each of the nipples. Now you're going to notice that these are awfully tight to slide on. But if you have any issues, I always like to heat her up a little bit sometimes. Just get inside that rubber just a little bit with a lighter, and that's going to allow you to slide it in there. All right. Now you're going to want to use the hose clamps and all that good stuff, but we're just showing you that. So we're going to have an outlet to our filter, and then this one is going to go to the tub. And this will go to the jet on the tub, the upper jet. Now the inlet line is a little different. The inlet line is this one here, and it comes with another filter. So we've got two filters on this sucker. That looks like a, I don't know, to catch the big chunks coming off me. So this is the same situation. It's got the same hookup, and all you're going to do is do the same thing. Let's see if we can make it work here. Oop, oop. There you go. You push them towards the penguin, then you snap them like that. And they've got these little thingies on here. I'm not quite sure what all those pins are for, but I've already tried it like this and it works great. So this is going to be my setup. I'm trying to keep it pretty compact. So again, you've got your feeder with filter, inlet. So we're set. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this down next to the tube, next to the tub, and we're going to cinch up some hose clamps and we're going to start pumping some water. Again, when you're actually cutting these, make sure to trim them to whatever you think is going to fit using your cutters, which I will put a link down below. All right, I'm getting excited. This has been about a month building up to it, and we're getting awfully close to give her an actual test. So stay with me. It's a miracle. We've actually got her together. Houston, I think we have a success on our hands. Now, before we go into the finale, into the big test, I want to go through a couple of adjustments I had to make and talk a little bit about the operations of the actual chiller. Now, I had a few issues with the drain the first time I slid into this sucker because I did not realize that when you have an overflow drain, like right there, what happens is it goes around the push-up drain and it just comes pouring out the other drain. So what you can do, you can either do what I did, which I just went ahead and just caulked inside of that drain, and this is gonna prevent that from happening and allow me to have a little higher water level when we do it. But also down here, you'll notice I just put a little ball valve on there, and it's got a quick disconnect fitting, which goes on your water hose. It was super cool from Amazon, and you can see up here, I got my water hose ready to go. Also, you'll notice she is fully insulated. I've insulated the outside of the tub. I've got a top. I've got the hoses insulated. And for information on that, this video is getting too long. I'm making a totally separate video on insulation. All right, let's go over here to the chiller. First, we got our piping hooked up. One thing on these piping, to lock them, you push these little levers in. And look at that. These have little pins in them. What these pins are locks. You just slide them through the little holes. Each one locks on there. I have not had any leaks whatsoever. Now, on the filter, you remember I had those brass fittings on there? They started leaking, so I just went ahead with some PVC fittings and put the Rectol around there, and it looks like she is holding tight. And again, I'll put all links to all my fittings and everything down below. All right, the chiller. Now, the first thing I want to say about the chiller is it does make some noise, as you can hear. It's similar to probably a loud, let's say, a refrigerator. A couple of things I did to actually quiet it down. You'll notice it's got the super slick stainless steel case, but it does make a little vibration. So I got some of this rubber tape, and I just went around a couple of corners and just put the rubber tape right there, and it really quieted down the vibrato coming off that sucker. So for use, let's see right now. So when you turn it on, you're gonna see the water temperature. So that's the current water temperature. All you do is push set. Let's see how low she goes. 36. Let's see if this thing will really get her down to 36. You can see it's going to go ahead and set it. So you hit set again. We're set at 36. Now, when you first turn it on, this green light's going to blink while she warms up or cools off. And then once it comes on to the little snowflake, that means it is running. So it's going to cool down to 36. All right. This has been quite the journey, and I appreciate y'all staying with me. One more thing I want to say. I went ahead and got a water hose filter to fill it. My small town water is not that great, so this just adds a little filter to the water going in there. Oh, turn her off. All right, so let me go ahead and put my robe on, and we're going to come back after this thing cools down and give her a test run. Stay with me. Well, here we are at the end of the cold plunge video. I appreciate it if you've made it this far. I tell you what, I put a lot of work into this. It's been about a 3-month project, but it turned out awesome. We got some blue lights in here, got my Texas flag, got our own little spot going on here, and that penguin chiller, I tell you what, she is freezing. Them penguins are running super fast in there because I started at about 63 degrees not 2 hours ago. And right now we're rolling at 38. Yeah, 38 degrees is what this temperature is, which is stupid cold. Personally, I've been in water around the 50s. I've never been anywhere close to this. So we're going to see what's happened. Yeah, might as well do it. Let's go ahead and slide in. Got my new robe, my Santa thing. Of course, you got your Buc-ee's Texas shorts. So, all right. Oh my gosh, that is cold. That is really cold. Really cold. We're sliding in. Oh, it's comfortable though. It's comfortable, the back. Now the key with this is breathe. Oh my gosh, that's so cold. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with me. Please, if you want to buy any of this equipment, use the links below, especially the Penguin Chiller link. It's an awesome company. Hopefully I'll have some discount codes for you guys. Also, I love building this thing. So if you guys want to buy this one, or if you just got a custom build you're thinking about, I'd be happy to throw something together down here. I'll put my contact info down below. But for now, good luck with your build. It's awesome. I swear. Just do it. Mower Mike out.